Behind the absurdity, there were budget cuts, corporate near-lawsuits, and casting battles that nearly sank it before it hit the screen. The title almost got dumber, the extras sometimes went too far, and its creator doesn't even call it a comedy anymore. These are 14 bizarre, behind-the-scenes facts about a movie that accidentally predicted the future, and somewhere in its twisted world is a family tree that links a cartoon Texan to something with hooves. Don't overthink it. Just watch where it goes. Number 1. Disneyland Spark, the birth of a dystopia. Sometimes, the sharpest social satire starts in the most ordinary places. At Disneyland, standing in line for Peter Pan's flight with his daughters, Office Space creator Mike Judge overheard two moms loudly cursing at their toddlers. The moment sparked an idea. What if the world kept getting dumber because the least thoughtful people were the ones raising the most kids? Judge later recalled thinking, people like this are going to outbreed the smart people, and right there, the seed of Idiocracy was planted. Years later, that offhand observation turned into a cult classic about a future where water is replaced with sports drinks, and basic logic has all but disappeared. It showed that dystopia doesn't always need killer robots, sometimes it's just human nature on autopilot. Number 2. The movie Fox pretended didn't exist. Sometimes, a studio doesn't just mishandle a release, they bury it alive. When Idiocracy was finished, Fox gave it a one-week release, no posters, no trailer, no press tour. Some theaters didn't even list the title, just Untitled Mike Judge Project. Crew members were baffled. Actors didn't even realize it had been released until it was already gone. The message was clear: don't promote it, don't acknowledge it, pretend it never happened. But the film refused to vanish. It leaked, it spread, and slowly it built a loyal audience. In the end, the blackout only made its cult status stronger, because when a story hits too close to home, people find it no matter how deep you try to hide it. Number 3. The name they were afraid to say. Mike Judge never wanted Idiocracy to be called Idiocracy. His original title was the United States of America, spelled phonetically, slurred, and stupid, the way the movie's future citizens might say it. It was meant as a built-in punchline, but Fox executives hated it. Too aggressive, too on the nose, too risky for a satire they were already nervous about. They feared it would confuse audiences, alienate marketing partners, and worst of all, be seen as un-American. Judge fought for the name, but the studio overruled him. After weeks of arguments, they settled on Idiocracy, which to the execs was slightly less inflammatory, though some still thought it was mean and too cynical. The compromise stuck, but the fallout was obvious. The film's release got the silent treatment. The original title was buried, the marketing vanished, and the satire they tried to soften ended up feeling more prophetic than ever. Number 4. The budget collapse that proved the point. Idiocracy didn't just imagine a future of corporate shortcuts, it was built on them. Mike Judge began with a modest but workable budget, then watched it shrink piece by piece. Shooting days vanished, locations changed with no warning, extras were cut, and sets had to be recycled or left behind. In post-production, they couldn't even afford to digitally erase brand logos. The solution? Blur them and hope no one noticed. The worst came near the end. Crew members, makeup artists, lighting techs, set dressers, were told their pay might be delayed or never come at all because of cash flow problems. Some waited weeks, others never saw their full checks. It was the ultimate irony, a film about a failing system nearly taken down by one. Judge kept filming anyway, knowing that if he didn't finish it, no one else would. Number 5. From dystopia to diapers. On screen, Maya Rudolph was a time-traveling prostitute, dodging giant Costco carts and watching a dumbed-down society implode. Off-screen, her life was shifting in a completely different way. In October 2005, a year before Idiocracy hit theaters, Rudolph welcomed her first child with director Paul Thomas Anderson. While the film was getting buried by the studio, skipped by the press, and quietly disappearing from theaters, she was adjusting to the chaos and joy of new motherhood. It was a strange contrast, fighting through a ridiculous sci-fi apocalypse on set, then cradling a newborn in a world that, in some ways, didn't feel all that different. From portraying the sharpest mind in a collapsing future to raising a child in the unpredictable present, Rudolph had truly come full circle. Number 6. Camacho Unleashed. The hair was fake, The muscles were real, but the wild, unpredictable chaos of President Camacho came straight from Terry Crews himself. Mike Judge handed him the outline, but once the cameras rolled, it was open season. The screaming, the motorcycle, the machine gun at the State of the Union, Crews improvised it all. He even rewrote his own lines between takes just to keep the madness alive. What began as a parody of a clueless loudmouth morphed into one of satire's most unforgettable performances, because Crews wasn't just playing a joke, he was holding up a mirror. And yet, the role almost never happened. Number 7. 5 Auditions to Glory. Terry Crews had the look, the power, and the ridiculous charm to be President Camacho, but landing the role was a battle. He auditioned once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and still nothing. By the 5th, he was convinced it was slipping away. Behind closed doors, studio execs were chasing bigger names. Crews was up against established comedians and A-listers. He wasn't famous enough, wasn't safe enough for a film the studio already thought was risky. So, he walked into that final audition, looked the casting team dead in the eye, and said, "If you find someone better, give it to them." Then he detonated, voice booming, energy unhinged, pure comedic chaos. Suddenly, there was no competition. Crews didn't just get the role, he became the face of Idiocracy, with a chain gun in one hand and the presidency in the other. Number 8. Too Dumb for the Future. Mike Judge's note to the extras was simple: play dumb. Dumber than dumb. Cartoon stupid. And they did, maybe too well. One background actor started randomly dry humping set pieces. Another pantomimed racist jokes mid-take. A few bits never made the final cut, not because they weren't outrageous, but because they pushed past satire into something darker. Judge wasn't trying to make cruelty funny. Idiocracy was supposed to be absurd, not hateful. So the crew had to walk a razor-thin line, keeping the stupidity hilarious without making it mean. And in a movie about mindless behavior, the scariest moments came from real people, totally unscripted. Number 9. Buried by our own stupidity. No war, no zombies, no aliens, just trash. That's what took down civilization in Idiocracy. A mountain of garbage so huge it collapsed on itself, kicking off the world's slow-motion death spiral. It was absurd, sure, but also uncomfortably plausible. Mike Judge didn't pull it out of thin air, he lifted it straight from real headlines about America's growing waste crisis. Then he cranked the satire, making Litter a full-blown origin story for the year 2555's collapse. A society too lazy to recycle, literally buried by its own junk. It was a joke, yes, but one that's been aging like, well, landfill. Number 10. The future was on their feet. The art department needed footwear so dumb no sane person would wear it. They found Crocs. Back then, the plastic clogs were obscure prototypes sold online in odd colors, perfect for Idiocracy's future wasteland. Mike Judge thought they were safe to mock, too ugly to ever catch on. But after the film's release, Crocs didn't die, they exploded, turning from background joke to global fad. What was meant as a satirical prop ended up walking right out of the movie and into reality, proving once again that the future keeps borrowing from Mike Judge's imagination. Number 11. The news that time forgot. Logos morphed, slang devolved, manners disappeared, but in Idiocracy's future, one thing looked eerily familiar: Fox News. Same logo, same colors, same set design, same anchors shouting into the void. Originally, Mike Judge used it as a placeholder, a recognizable logo to keep scenes grounded amid the absurdity. But as the writers tinkered, they realized they didn't need to parody it at all. In a world where smarts had vanished and corporations ruled everything, Fox News already fit right in, hair and all. The only edit they made was turning the volume up on the hairstyles. Number 12. Satire became prophecy. It was supposed to be the dumbest TV show ever made. In Idiocracy, Mike Judge created Oh My Balls, a no-plot, no-dialogue spectacle of a man getting hit in the crotch again and again, while a studio audience roared. The joke was simple, a punchline about how low entertainment could sink. But less than 10 years later, reality caught up. From Jackass to viral YouTube fail compilations, audiences were laughing at real pain on a massive scale. Critics started calling Idiocracy an accidental roadmap to internet culture, the kind that rewards clicks over quality. What began as a fictional parody suddenly looked like a documentary in the making. Judge hadn't just made fun of the future, he had previewed it. Number 13. Roasting everyone to protect themselves. Starbucks selling extra services, Carl's Jr. berating customers, Costco as a city-sized maze of bureaucracy. On paper, it looked like a lawsuit buffet. Mike Judge expected angry letters and cease and desist orders from the companies he mocked. But studio lawyers found a strange loophole. If every brand was roasted, no single company could claim unfair targeting. So they doubled down. More brands, bigger gags, louder absurdity. Some corporations reportedly laughed it off, assuming the film would flop quietly. It didn't. Years later, when the jokes started feeling like predictions, those same companies weren't as amused. Number 14. The prophecy that buried itself. Idiocracy mocked a future where the dumbest blockbusters crushed the box office, where spectacle beat substance every time. Then it lived that fate. Fox, nervous the satire was too sharp, gutted its marketing, killed press coverage, and dumped it into a quiet one-week release. Some theaters didn't even display the title. It made just over $400,000, barely a blip. The irony was brutal. The movie about anti-intellectual culture was ignored for being too smart. In the end, it didn't just predict the problem. It became proof of it.